So the question was, the Senate is very contentious. How am I going to handle that, and what is going to be my number one priority when I get to Washington, D.C.? I think, first of all, with regard to the contentiousness, it's something that I think we as Nebraskans can share with the rest of the country. We have our differences, but we work together to be able to solve our problems here in the state, and we try to do it in a way that's civil and respectful to each other. It's just who we are as Nebraskans, and I think that's one of the things that Senator Fisher has demonstrated with her time in the U.S. Senate, and that's what I'll be bringing as well to the U.S. Senate, is that civility and respect. So I think that's how you address some of the contention. With regard to my number one priorities, I talked about it a little bit, is here in Nebraska, we have worked to be able to make government work for the people, and that's what has to happen in Washington, D.C. We should not have the expectation that the federal government is doomed to fail. Government can work. There are things that we all agree government should do. They should do them really well, and that's what we have to have Washington, D.C. accountable for. We've got to work against some of the bad policies. For example, government overspending has created the inflation that makes it hard on families to be able to make ends meet. Here in Nebraska, we've controlled our spending to 2.8% over the last 8 years, and I know that Governor Pillen shares that same philosophy of continuing to have that fiscal restraint while doing a good job delivering services. That's also how we delivered over $12 billion or will deliver over $12 billion in tax relief. And I know that Governor Pillen's going to build on that going forward with the same philosophy of fiscal restraint and giving money back to the people. And then, of course, we've got to have a strong national defense. That's one of the primary responsibilities of the federal government, is to protect this nation, and the Chinese Communist Party is definitely one of the existential threats, or probably the most serious existential threat to our country, and we've got to push back against that threat. We've done it here at the state of Nebraska. After my trade missions in 2015 and 2016, we closed down our trade mission in Shanghai and moved it to Germany. We banned TikTok and so forth. So we've got to continue to push back on the Chinese Communist Party and make sure we have a strong nation.
Anything specific when you say you're going to target the Chinese Communist Party? Ready to go?
Well, the follow-up question was, there anything specific? I'm sure there's a number of senators who are working on this issue, and so I want to work together with my colleagues to find out what has already been done. I don't want to reinvent the wheel there. So I've got a lot of learning to do, as Senator Fisher pointed out, and so I look to consulting with the other senators and working together with them about how we can address it, because there's a lot of smart people there already. They're already working on this problem.